Lately, something we've been very into is sprouting stuff. Sprouting seeds, sprouting legumes, sprouting grains. I don't think we've actually done grains, but you're supposed to sprout your grains. Seeds, nuts, legumes. What did I just say? Grains, seeds, nuts, legumes. That's 4 things, right? There are 4 things you sprout. Why this is frugal is if you grow your own sprouts, it's a lot cheaper than buying sprouts in the store. And it's just super fun, isn't it? Frugal Frank. Frugal Frank. There's a new name. Do you like it? Does it feel real to you? So anyway, today we're starting some sprouting. We're going to sprout buckwheat groats. Buckwheat is not a grain, it's a seed, even though it has the word wheat in it. And we're going to sprout lentils. That's a legume. And we're going to sprout alfalfa seeds and, mung beans. I have done buckwheat groats and lentils many, many times. And once they sprout, I will use the sprouted buckwheat groats tossed into my oatmeal or thrown into a smoothie. The sprouting, the bringing to life of the dormant little thing, is supposed to increase the nutritional value, I don't know, about 8,000 fold. That's amazing, isn't it? Daddy's just the eye candy right now while I do the scientific explanations.
You're kidding.
I know you're a mess, but he did just shave. Now the lentils, once I sprout the lentils, they're soft enough to eat. You really don't have to cook them after that. And I just throw the sprouted lentils on top of my salad greens. Now with our alfalfa seeds and our mung beans, we're going to really want to grow those into some sprouts, to put sprouts into salads or onto sandwiches. With the mung beans, I believe the kind of sprouts they grow are those big white bean sprouts that you get in your pad thai. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So we're going to start by soaking them. 6 to 8 hours. Okay, here we go. First, here you have your mung beans. So it'll be a first. Pretty excited about mung beans. Here we have buckwheat groats. These I've sprouted many times. I love sprouting buckwheat groats. Oops. Then we have our red lentils. This little bag of alfalfa seeds cost about $4 or $5 at the health food store. I thought that was kind of a lot, but they are really, really tiny little seeds, so I imagine we can get a lot of sprouts. So we put a little bit in this bowl. Alfalfa sprouts are really good for you. Basically, we're just going to cover each one with some nice, fresh, cool water and let them soak for 6 to 8 hours. I'm going to push mine to the back of the counter and cover them with a tea towel because we've been having a fruit fly issue, and I do not want to come back in 6 to 8 hours and see any fruit fly activity with my soaking seeds and legumes. Alrighty, next day. After you've soaked your seeds for 6 to 8 hours, you're going to rinse them. Mine have soaked for more like 24 hours because I was too tired and lazy to come back and rinse at the 8-hour mark. But after 8 hours, your little seeds and lentils and things have absorbed some water and they start to puff up and get bigger. And so now we're going to drain them. See, there's one of my strainers. And yes, I did have to scrub my sink for making this portion of the video. So first we will drain and rinse the mung beans, which you see there on the left, and then the alfalfa seeds, which are right there on the right. So you just pour them into your strainer and rinse with your cool, fresh water. What I'm going to do is take this plastic container that is from some takeout food situation. I'm going to put some paper towel in it, and I'm going to dump my alfalfa seeds in there, and I'm going to spread my alfalfa seeds out on the paper towel and just keep the paper towel moist for days and days until these sprout and grow into the sprouts I want. I am trying to really throw out that disclaimer that I've never done alfalfa and mung beans before, so you're just joining me on this little experimental journey into botany. It's a botany adventure. Basically, I'm going to do the same thing with the mung beans. We're going to rinse them and then spread them out on paper towel. on the lid of the takeout container. Rinse, 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 rinse. And we'll just get the paper towel a little bit wet. And we'll set those aside. Now with our buckwheat groats and our lentils, we're going to do something a little bit different. We'll drain and rinse the lentils. We're going to keep our lentils in the strainer and just put the strainer on top of this bowl. We will continue to rinse the lentils and keep them moist for several days as they split and sprout. And any excess moisture will just drip down into the bowl so that it doesn't make a mess all over the counter. If you look closely, you can see that some of them are splitting open and they're starting to sprout. We're going to do the same thing with the buckwheat groats. We're going to drain and rinse. Then we're just going to keep the buckwheat groats in the strainer and put them on top of the empty margarine container. And like the lentils, we will rinse them maybe every 4 to 6 hours to keep them moist, and they will just sprout right there in their strainer. You can see here that the buckwheat groats have already sprouted. You see the little tail coming out. That's the little plant growing out of the little seed. So here's our little sprout farm. Now the reason I think that the mung beans and the alfalfa seeds are going to work on paper towel is because years and years ago, I mean many years ago, I'm talking like 30 years ago, I dated this guy who might have been a little bit of what we would call a cannabis entrepreneur, and he had some marijuana seeds that he was growing, and he just wrapped them up in a paper towel and kept them wet, and they sprouted and grew. So I figure if it works for the marijuana, it should work for the alfalfa and the mung beans. It makes me wonder if I need to cover the mung beans and the alfalfa sprouts with paper towel to keep them moist on top as well, and to also keep the fruit flies away, which have become a really bothersome annoyance in my house. Experimentation continues. We're covering with paper towel now and just getting the top layer of paper towel moistened. And we'll see how that goes. So in another 24 hours, we'll check in on these. Alrighty, we're on day 3. Let's take a look at the buckwheat groats. Oh my gosh, look how long that little sprout is. These are definitely going crazy. At this point, I could pop these in the fridge and just put them in smoothies, which is ultimately what I'm going to do with them, but I'm going to let them grow one more day just for the fun of it, just for you all to see. Here's day 3 on the lentils. You can see that they've all sprouted really nicely. You could certainly let them grow longer, but for my purposes, tossing them on top of salads, these are ready to go. And raw, they taste like lentils, a little bit peppery. And they add a nice little crunch to your salad. All right, now here, day 3, big reveal of the alfalfa seeds. Last night I checked on these, and they had sprouted like crazy, and I couldn't believe it. We'd gone to visit my mother for the day, and we left with little seeds, and we came home to all those little sprouts. Can you see all the little white shoots coming out of the seeds? Nature is amazing. And the mung beans. Look, they've sprouted too. Oh my goodness. See the little sprouts? Okay, so same deal. Keep them covered, keep them moist. Here are the sprouted buckwheat groats on day 4. I think that's good enough. So I'm just going to transfer them and put them in the fridge. They lose a little bit of their crunch when you sprout them, of course, because they've absorbed water, but they still add a nice texture to oatmeal. Day 4 for the mung beans. These are coming along very nicely. So I think a couple more days for these. Here's day 4 for the alfalfa sprouts. They're growing beautifully, and you can see they're starting to get their little green leaves. Morning of day 5 on the mung beans. I think they're edible at this point, but I think they are supposed to grow a little bit bigger. Okay, let's ignore the messy kitchen behind me. That's not there. And we'll try a mung bean. Or 2. Yeah, I think that's edible. It tastes like bean sprouts. That's more frugal than buying them in the store, don't you think? Yes, it is. And there we have morning day 5 on the alfalfa sprouts. And I just put them outside to get a little bit of light and I think they look amazing, and I think they are totally ready to consume. All right, let's taste the alfalfa sprouts now. Very crunchy, very fresh, very sprouty. I'm thinking now of making a tomato and sprout sandwich in a wrap type situation to bring to work for lunch today. Thanks for watching my sprouty video. I hope it inspires you to try sprouting things yourself to increase the nutritional oomph of your food, and also to save money on buying sprouts, because it's much cheaper to sprout your own seeds than to go out and buy bean sprouts and so forth. Bye-bye, everybody.